Hello to all my dear students. I am Padmini Vasant. In last session, we had discussed on the concept of IASC and what does it mean by International Accounting Standards. Now, in this session, we shall discuss about IFRS. Let's start. IASC, as we know, was formed in 1973 and it was replaced by IASB. IASB framework provides the underlying rules, conventions and definition that underpin the preparation of all financial statements prepared under IFRS. Hence, this ensures standards developed within a conceptual framework. It provides guidance on areas where no standards exist. It aids process to improve existing standards, and it ensures financial statement containing information that is useful to users, and also it helps prevent creative accounting. And if you see here, we know that there are some aspects with respect to IFRS Advisory Council. IFRS Advisory Council is divided into 4 bodies. They are IFRS Foundation Monitoring Board, which looks into public accountability, IFRS Foundation Trust, which looks into governance, and 2 bodies, namely International Accounting Standard Board and IFRS Interpretation Committee under IFRS Foundation. They are independent standard setting boards. So if you have a look at the role of standard setting boards, IFRS Foundation is responsible for the standard setting process as a whole. IASB is an independent standard setting board of IFRS Foundation. IFRS Advisory Council advises on practical and implementation issues of each projects, and IFRS Interpretation Committee reviews accounting issues in the context of IFRS and provides them conceptual guidelines. Hence, these are the aspects of IASB conceptual framework. This framework had started preparation way back in the year 1989, but after a lot of amendments in 2010, the conceptual framework for the reporting was standardized, and in 2018 the new conceptual framework for the financial reporting had been floated. Now let us look at the objectives of IFRS. The first being general purpose financial reporting. It is to provide information that is useful to existing and potential investors, lenders and other creditors in making decisions about providing resources to the entity. The decisions may be made by users will involve investment, financing, voting. The second qualitative characteristics being that it has to be with respect to relevance. Relevance means information that makes a difference to decision made by users. And faithful representation means must faithfully represent the substance of what it represents and is therefore complete, neutral and free from error. Measurement uncertainty will impact the level of faithful representation. It also must enhance comparability, identify similarities and difference between entities year on year. Verifiability, it must assure the information represents the economic phenomena it represents. And timeliness, all the reports must be generated on timely basis, and understanding. Each report must be able to understand each report clearly. The third financial statement characteristics being that the entity that is required to prepare financial statements does not necessarily have to be a legal entity. So either the financial statement reports assets, liabilities, income and expense. It can be done in the form of consolidated financial statement or unconsolidated financial statement, or it can be on combined financial statement, but all the three must be on going concern basis. So if you observe, I have discussed both the aspects about the objective of financial statement. The elements of financial statement must contain following, that is assets, liabilities, equity, income and expense. Assets, they pertain to economic resource. Liabilities are the present obligation. Equity is the residual interest in asset less liability. Income, increase in asset, and expense, reduction in asset. Coming to the fifth criteria, with respect to recognition and derecognition. We know that recognition, the process of including an item in the financial statement, and is appropriate if it results in relevant and faithful representation. Derecognition means the removal of all or part of asset. Hence, when you prepare a financial statement, you need to keep in mind the recognition and derecognition aspect. So if you observe here, so statement of financial position at the beginning of the period is nothing but asset minus liabilities, which is equal to equity. And a statement of financial performance is nothing but income minus expense, that is the profit. And also you need to consider contribution from equity holder by removing the distribution to equity holder. The sixth criteria being measurement factor. So there are two aspects, namely historical cost and current value. So historical cost is the price of the transaction that gave rise to the item, and current value provides updated information to reflect condition at the measurement date. So that is nothing but the balance sheet date. So assets are required to be recorded at historical cost, that is the fixed asset, and current asset have to be recorded at the fair value or disposable value, whichever is lower. Coming to the seventh one, regarding with respect to presentation and disclosure. Statement of profit or loss is a primary source of information for a company's performance, which includes all income and expense. If the income and expense arises from changes in current value, then it can be recognized through other comprehensive income. Reclassification of other comprehensive income, that is profit and loss account, is allowable if it gives more relevant information. The eighth concept being capital maintenance. This is more with respect to financial capital maintenance and operating capital maintenance. So one can see here that under the financial capital we need to consider the net asset, and usually all the net assets are established or shown in figures, are nothing but measurement in rupees or the currency, whereas physical capital maintenance, that is productive capacity, is always represented with respect to the output per day or in units. So dear students, these are the 8 concepts which I wanted to discuss under IFRS. Now if you go to how shall we adhere to the IFRS applicability. So IFRS, you need to take the following steps. So in the step 1, consider whether an IFRS standard specifically applies to the transaction, event or condition. If it is yes, then simply apply the specified IFRS. If it is no, then you need to go to step 2 for checking. Step 2 says that consider whether IFRS standards deal with similar or related issue? If it is yes, apply the requirements in IFRS standard with respect to similar issue. If it is no, then check the step 3. Step 3 is refer to and consider the applicability of conceptual framework for financial reporting. So this conceptual framework for financial reporting we have just discussed now. So these are the steps you need to apply in order to understand the objective of IFRS applicability. I shall see you soon in the next session on Ind AS. Thank you very much.